Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing the Panerai Radiomir 8 Days PAM 197. Part of a series of watches that use the JLC 877 8-day movement base. This is a traditional wire lug Radiomir in the image of the original 1930s and 1940s 3646 combat watch. It is pink gold, 45 millimeters in diameter, 15.2 millimeters thick, and 53 millimeters from lug to lug, with a 26 millimeter strap spacing. Taking a quick look at the watch on the wrist, you can see, as with most Panerai timepieces, don't let the 45 millimeter size scare you away. This wears nothing like, say, a 45 millimeter Hublot. It's very compact. It's basically a 45 millimeter square or cushion on your wrist with barely there loop-style, wire-inspired lugs. I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference, and here you can see my wrist is 16. It's actually fairly compatible with the cuff thanks to its sloped flank. Now, taking a look at the strap, this is, along with the pink gold, a signal that the watch we're examining is not for the common Paneristo. If your idea of a Panerai watch is the ideal instrument for crawling through the mud underneath a British battleship in Alexandria Harbor, again, this is not your Panerai watch. This is a Panerai for the person who otherwise would collect Zenith, Jaeger-LeCoultre, La Soute Original, high horology brands that produce in lower volume with less of an explicitly tactical pitch to customers. So here we have alligator leather instead of the more common textile or calfskin strap. You can see it's a reddish brown, large rectangular scale, the most expensive kind. There's a contrasting stitch. It has a folded edge. It is thickly bolstered to give it a little bit of volume. On the bottom, you can see it's calfskin, and this is a brand new Panerai factory strap. You can see the condition is outstanding. Here we have a wire-inspired Panerai branded pink gold pin buckle, and this is an uncommon accessory for a Radiomir. You can see the name is on the pin, and the pin has a little recess for it in the buckle, details that I enjoy. Okay, about these so-called wire lugs, they're not. Maybe on the original 3646, they would have been welded on to turn a Rolex Oyster case into a wristwatch, but here you remove two screws, one on each side, and that for each lug, and then the lugs pull out, they separate in the center, and then you put the strap on. So you don't have to cut these straps off. If you have jeweler's screwdrivers, you can strap swap. You have that 70s style OP logo on the crown, as the watch is essentially a combination of a couple of different eras referenced. You can also appreciate that this is a lovely case form, all of high polish in pink gold. I can tell the difference between pink, rose, and red, and pink straddles the space between the rose golds and the yellow golds. It's a very faint rose color. This is pink, truly, not rose and not red. Probably 3N rose gold, as it's called. The dial is black with a pyramid hobnail, which gives it a little bit of definition, otherwise lacking on standard matte black dial Radiomirs. We have rose gold hands, which is a nice upscale touch for this luxurious Radiomir 8-day. The crown is a screw down. We have 100 meters of water resistance, and a feature not common on Panerai watches. This is something that's increasingly rare in the modern era, even with their in-house calibers, but you get a hacking seconds function. Now, the dial is a sandwich dial, a old-school construction from, again, the combat era of Panerai watches, where a stencil with the numerals and the indices goes on top of a fully loomed base disc. The result is not just a blindingly bright watch, but one that has a surprising amount of depth to it. When you see this in person, you can see that each numeral and each index is three-dimensional with length, width, and depth. Taking a quick look at the reverse of the watch, this is really what you're paying for here. If you're an haute horlogerie man, or woman, I should say, it's a little bit uncommon to choose Panerai from among the many options in handcrafted watchmaking. That said, what we have here makes no compromises. It is descended from the movement created for the 70th anniversary Reverso, which was intended for 2002 but actually came out in 2003 because so much effort went into developing this 8-day twin barrel movement. So of course the Panerai version is larger and it's circular rather than rectangular, but it is the same basic running gear, and these movements have been known to run for almost 10 days before they truly stop. Now Panerai has made some changes. The JLC version would have featured a dial side power reserve, and it was a 25 joule movement. This one's actually 33 joules, and a lot of those are associated with moving the power reserve indicator to the case back, so you have an unmarred traditional Radiomir dial, but then you have this power reserve indicator. And one of the fun and fatuous features of this watch, it's really not necessary, but it's kind of cool, is that the power reserve indicator is actually luminescent on the reverse. Now, the timepiece beats away at 8 beats per second, or 4 hertz, so no compromise is made to the beat rate in order to achieve the extended power reserve. Panerai calls this the OP14, but just remember, this is the JLC 877. It's a movement that employs a combination of machine finish and hand finish, my favorite detail being the real fire-blued screws that you find on the movement. It's quite attractive, and right down to the black-polished swan's neck regulator, extremely distinct from other movements commonly featured on Panerai watches during the mid-2000s. JLC and Panerai, of course, both inside the Richemont group, having access to some of the same watchmaking resources. So reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this PAM 197.